Hello and welcome to the Clark Blue podcast post-match reaction for Aston Villa's 3-2 win on the night against PSG, but 5-4 defeat on aggregate in the Champions League quarter-finals. You got to really wrap your head around that. I was almost losing track of the scoreline halfway through the second. How many goals do we need for extra time? What's going on? Oh, God, I don't quite know how I feel. Not a great start to a podcast. I do apologise. I've literally been in the house about 3 minutes. I've still got my driving specs in front of me there. I was wearing them as you joined. I was sort of take them off. Don't want anyone to see them. We're going to try and get our thoughts out on what we've just seen there at Villa Park this evening as best we can. Matt, can you just tell me how you feel before we try and make any sense of it?
I never like to be the kind of the plucky loser and stuff, because you're in, you support a football club in competitive sport to win things. But I couldn't be more proud. I've had a fantastic evening at Villa. It's the first time I've left the house all week because I've been really ill. Today's podcast, as well as NordVPN, is brought to you by Strepsils as well. But I just we got to. You've got to look at the bigger picture. This is not a one-off. This is us building something. And we've gone today kind of toe-to-toe. Done it the Villa way, made life so difficult. But where we found that spirit from, Villa Park, I've been going there since I've been about 6 or 7 years old. So that's 40 years now. I don't think I've known anything, not just this season, but tonight it was absolutely magnificent. And honestly, I'm on the way back. I barely had a voice, so I thought I was going to have to phone in sick for the podcast. But I know people will be disappointed, and we've come so close and yet so far. But this is PSG, a team that people are already anointing as the new champions of Europe, the best club team in the world, playing football in a new way that we haven't seen before. And we've actually scared them. Yeah. We've frightened the life out of them, so much so that you've got one of the wonder boys of world football, Doué, who's trying to keep the ball near the Holt End byline to try and run down the clock. They were 4 goals up against us, and they're trying to run down the clock. I mean, doesn't need the clock. The clock didn't need much running down because the referee clearly lost his watch, his bottle, his cards, and everything else. But pride, Dan, is my emotion, and I don't think that's me being small time that we've produced such a performance. And I don't know, people watching that on television, neutrals watching that, must have thought, "Oh, Aston Villa are getting taken apart here. Look how pathetic." And then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? No, we're not done yet, and we've roared back. And I'm just buzzing. I know it sounds silly. We have won the game, so I'm allowed to celebrate us winning the game. I know we've lost the tie, but I just thought it was magnificent, and it's a football club that I kind of love more than I ever have before.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with all your sentiments. I'm finding it, and we've said sometimes these are the pros and cons of doing shows like this at 10 to midnight on a Tuesday after the game. It's part of it's a little bit silly. I'm struggling to articulate how I feel. This is so bad. I feel like you, really proud, quite excited about what we saw in the second half and some of the football we played and the celebrations and the emotions that come with that. But I also feel disappointment of what could have been and how close we came. And, would you rather lose something silly as I thought it might have been? You see the game afterwards, PSG 8-1 on aggregate or something horrible because, 2-0 up, I literally sat there and went, oh, game over. No chance. And tie over, yes, ultimately, but the game on the night absolutely wasn't. But I would not have been alone in thinking that at the time. 5-1 down at that stage, 3 goals from fullbacks. It's pretty ridiculous that the quality that they have. But it's 1 goal away from getting it to extra time. It's another 10 minutes of football to play, maybe, from getting that goal. It's not conceding in the 92nd minute last week from getting to extra time. I'm struggling to kind of reconcile with what side I'm on. Is it pride? Is it disappointment? But they kind of intertwine, don't they? If I'm disappointed about beating PSG on the night 3-2, that kind of shows you what this Villa team is and what they can become. This will hopefully be the start of a journey, not the end of one. For this season, yes, that's the end of our Champions League campaign, and what a campaign it was. But I I firmly believe now, and maybe I'm going to make myself look stupid in a few weeks' time. I think Villa will finish in the top 5 now. I think what we've seen tonight gives me that confidence, and hopefully gives the squad and Emery and the coaches the confidence to say, just take a step back for a sec. Look what you just did against arguably one of the best teams in Europe, so therefore the world. Can you not beat Newcastle playing like that? And Palace at Wembley, and Man City at the Etihad, and Spurs and Man United and Fulham? You can win playing like that every game, and you can get back to these nights. And I almost feel like Villa have unfinished business in the Champions League, which is not what I thought this season would end as. If we can get to the knockouts of the league phase, you know, if Villa done really, really well, get to the round of 16, and anything beyond that's a complete bonus. I've now come away from Villa Park having beaten PSG on the night, but losing the tie. Disappointed that we've not got to the semi-final, and feel like, well, we'll be back next year and maybe we'll be better. That's some journey. Oh, I've frozen him into submission by my monologue. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
I'm back. Yeah, have you finished?
I finished. Yeah. Sorry, that took a while.
It was stirring stuff, mate. I missed half of it, but yeah, why not? Why not? You know, I think there was lots of big moments tonight. Some went our way, lots didn't go our way. But I don't think it's about the individual moments. I think there's something bigger at play. I think this is our time, and yeah, it's not our time to win the Champions League this year, but we've. I was on. I think it was ahead of last week's game. I was on Irish radio station talking about it, and I think there's lots of people who wouldn't have even known. We know about Aston Villa in 1982 because even if we didn't witness it with our own eyes, we died in the wool. So we've heard stories from everybody about it. But there's a generation of football fans who wouldn't have known that Aston Villa ruled the world or ruled Europe in 1982. And this adventure has not only woken people up to say, oh, what, Villa have won this before? Actually brought that back into focus. But to be relevant in today's day and age, you can't dine out on something that's 40 years old. Although I try it with lots of my jokes. You can't do it. You've got to reinvent and reinvent and reinvent. And that performance tonight shows, well, people who've watched Villa in the Premier League for the last 3 or 4 years know that we know mugs. That performance tonight, that we can actually summon up that kind of spirit and energy. It would have been easy for Villa to just, okay, you know, we've got a goal back before half time, but let's just go through the motions. We're not going to, you know, if we try and get back into this tie, PSG are going to pick us off and just destroy us. So let's just, you know, a bit like on Bullseye, we've had a great day out, but we, you know, we're just going to leave it. We're just going to go home now. So for Villa to somehow find that, and I'm sure we'll go through the players. I'm not sure I want to do man of the match today, but there's one guy I'll talk about, John McGinn. He's the one who's got us back into that game tonight, because nobody thinks when he picks up that ball halfway inside his own half that he's going to culminate in him pinging the ball in the top corner. But all of a sudden, Villa Park's thinking, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on. There might be a chance here. And that kind of, I don't know, that 15, 20 minutes around that goal and the second goal, PSG were running scared. They were absolutely running scared of us. And I think that's a massive tribute to who we are right now.
Yeah, again, totally agree. Absolutely, totally agree. There's a comment from Robert said, watched it on TV. How was the crowd? It sounded quiet. No idea what the Amazon broadcast was like, but it was loud. That is probably the best atmosphere that I've experienced going. And it's easy to say these things. I've probably forgotten the other good ones because I've only just come back from the one that I've just been to. Bayern this season was good. Some of the build up to getting promoted and the playoff semi-final. Playoff semi-final was good, but it's just another level when you're operating at the latter stages of the Champions League. You're down in the tie going into the second leg, but you get back into it in the second half, and you feel like, oh no, something's happening here. The guy who I sit next to, Max, he came in back at half time and he goes, kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, "We can do this, you know." And you kind of go, Yeah, all right then, mate. He's an old fella. He's kind of, I'm kidding. But you kind of think, yeah, it's all right. Okay, yeah, we've got another 45 minutes to sit through. Like, you got to believe, otherwise, what is the point? But you don't really. I don't think. And until McGinn does what he does, you go, hang on a minute. Like you say, what's happening here? Like this can be done. I did worry a little bit that we'd maybe peaked too early with those goals. Still half an hour left to go. Like, not necessarily that PSG will score again, but is there enough? Can we sustain that chaos for another half an hour? I think if that was like 75 and 80, and then you've got 10 minutes to just go mental, that's a different proposition. But talk about added time in a bit, I'm sure. But I think if the game was another 10 minutes longer, I think Villa do get that extra goal and take it to extra time, and from that position, I think they win the tie. So that's why there is some kind of tinge of disappointment of what might have been, but the atmosphere was electric in the build up to the first 10 minutes until they scored. I admit I was a little bit deflated after the goal. After the second, I said, game over, and I did feel it like that. Oh well, we've had a good go. The goals, I don't think I've celebrated a goal like that at Villa Park before. I mean, the lower Trinity is not known for its absolute limbs, but I've bashed both knees up on the seats in front of me. I've gone wild with everybody around us like never before, and because of that belief of we're about to do something special, we hope. Just on the atmosphere, I've got to get this in early. We can't not talk about it, especially on this podcast. I'm sure you know where this is going. We spoke on the Q&A yesterday about the first leg, and I said, even watching it at home on TV, like I felt the kind of momentum of the occasion, of get goosebumps watching the TV for the first leg. Like, this is proper now. This is knockout football against an elite side, Champions League music, everything. This is proper. That was absolutely amplified in the build up to this one. I wasn't particularly nervous, but just going there, the whole experience of it all, the fireworks. I thought the tifo was probably the best one yet. And then we hear the Europa Conference League music, and I was like, oh no, and this shouldn't really be a thing. It shouldn't be. I don't know whether anyone else felt like this, but that killed it for me. It killed all my energy and I had goosebumps. It's all like, "What? This is proper." No, you pressed the wrong one. Change it. I couldn't believe it.
How did that happen? One of my first jobs, and it wasn't a paid for position, but I used to press the tape recorder in assembly at primary school, and even I knew that you had to play carpenter when it was time for the hymn or whatever it was. And it's just, I thought, thinking, is this mind games? Is this trying to unnerve PSG?
I did wonder if there's something like that. Yeah.
And I just thought, so they played it, and to be fair, they stuck to it all the way through.
I don't know why. They should have stopped it.
They styled it out, and then while people were taking the tracksuits off, they decided to put a bit of Champions League in there. And you're just thinking, and it's been so perfect.
I know. It's funny now. It's funny now, but at the time, it was like a glitch in a computer game or something. It took me out of the situation of like, Champions League. Hang on, music's wrong. I'm out of it. Don't care anymore. Goosebumps have gone. Yeah, very, very odd. But if any podcast can talk about that, it's us, isn't it? This is right up our street.
Yeah. I mean, frustrating thing is we've got to qualify for it now, not the Conference League, the Champions League, because that was our last.
I know, we missed the moment. It's mad, isn't it?
But listen, at least Villa didn't kind of fluff their lines anyway. Well, I suppose we did ultimately, because we never won the tie. But yeah, it was a bit random. But I thought the tifo was great. I thought the fireworks were great. I thought what was interesting about the atmosphere, and the guy who's mentioned it sounded quiet on the television. I think your mute button's getting stuck on your remote control, mate, because it certainly wasn't quiet. It was the most rip-roaring, kind of raucous atmosphere that I can recall at Villa Park.
But the comment from I Am Lion, sorry, there's a comment from I Am Lion saying Bayern was louder. It might have been, I can't really remember, but to me that felt bigger, what we saw at PSG tonight.
Yeah, I think what I was going to say, but the PSG fans were pretty relentless, weren't they? Kind of bouncing up and down with the tops off for most of the game. But it was almost like they were just an afterthought. You carry on, you crack on over there. We're creating a proper occasion over here. So I think the fact that they created quite a din, but it wasn't really that vocal. It wasn't that audible because we were just kind of singing and roaring and whatever we were doing. I thought it was, and I thought that was a little bit like our recovery as well in the second half. That okay, yeah, PSG making loads of noise over there. PSG got loads of brilliant players over here. But I tell you what, should we just do what we're going to do? Not really worried about you. This is our place. This is our gaff. So we'll do what we're going to do. If it wasn't for that bloody Donnarumma, I think we'd have done it as well.
Yeah, Donna Drummer. Is there something in there? The drum does my tits in. Oh, they should confiscate that. It's our stadium. You're not bringing it in. I can't take a backpack in with a bottle of pop with a lid on it, but you can take a drum in. That shouldn't be allowed. I don't like that.
I thought Donna Drummer was like, is that the new like kebab thing that you get? You get like kebab meat and drumsticks in a tray.
Oh, nice, yeah. I associate Donna with being a name from the 80s, like the drummer of an 80s pop band, Donna the drummer. Yeah, just really odd that we spoke about it a little bit on the Q&A that it becomes like white noise. You kind of drown it out. It's happening all the time, but you don't hear it because it's just there all the time. And John said, the thing that's different, I think Dan actually might have said it, the thing that's different with English stadiums is they can be loud, but they burst into life when the game needs it or you're reacting to what's happening. PSG have a shot go past the post or something, and the noise stays exactly the same. Like nothing. It's just there. It's obviously a very different culture and very different atmosphere, but I thought Villa Park was at its best, particularly in the beginning, and then in the second half was something like I've not seen before. All four sides on their feet for a lot of it. The opportunity starting songs behind us very, very rarely happens to that volume, at least anyway, where you can actually make sense of it and everyone's joining in with it. And just that sense of belief that there was a period in that second half where, like I said before, 2-0 down, tie's done, game's done. I wouldn't be alone there. But I also wouldn't be alone in the second half where everyone had this weird feeling of, we're actually going to do it, aren't we? And that's probably where the disappointment comes from, because I could already see it, get the fourth goal late, take it to extra time. What if we don't take it to extra time? If we get the fourth, we might even just get the fifth and win it in normal time. And I've already planned out what it looks like. We'll do the podcast after. Why do we do the semi-final? I'm already there because it feels like something's happening. So that's probably where the disappointment comes from a little bit. But I think after tonight has all been said and done, you will look back on tonight with some kind of pride, some kind of enthusiasm. You said you were buzzing, all those kind of things. And I don't think that is small time to be proud of what we've done just because we haven't won the competition. It's the first time we've been in it for 40 odd years. This is further probably than most people thought we would get. We've actually beaten an elite side on the night that should give you that confidence to go and beat other teams in the future. I think I was speaking to our Newcastle colleague the other day about the League Cup and how their failure to win it in 2023 against Man United kind of helped them win it this year. That they've experienced it before. They know what it's like to lose, a bit like us losing the playoff final and then going and winning it the following year. You could do things slightly differently. I firmly believe that this night against PSG will be the foundation for something else to say, well, we've experienced it now. We know what to do. We know what to do differently, and we can use that going forward for the next decade or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I think, like I said, if this was our last ever chance, then you think, oh, okay, another 20 years in the doldrums. But we can be back at Villa Park on Saturday and with a real cause to play for. Yeah. And then the following Saturday, we're at Wembley with a real cause to play for. So, in terms of softening disappointments, the standard of performance tonight and character and spirit, and the fact that Villa as a collective kind of entity and family had a real good go. And we've got these really exciting things coming up on the horizon. And we've got Unai Emery as our manager. And we've got 11 players who started the game tonight who, the first time in history, have got 10 out of 10 in the player ratings. Although John must be missing a 1 and a 0 on his keyboard because he's not been quite as kind as me. I thought they were brilliant. I thought absolutely everybody was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean,
Am I seeing it through rose-tinted spectacles or what?
Well, it depends. It depends what vibe you want me to do here, because I could pick out a couple of players that I didn't think were 10 out of 10 and struggled a little bit in parts. But do we want to do that now? Is this a time for criticisms?
Say it again, sir. I lost you halfway through that.
I could give you a couple of players that I don't believe were 10 out of 10 and amazing, but is this the time to be critical?
I can do it if you want to. Bitch about it if you want
to. Exactly. I don't know if that's the vibe or not.
Chips, you can.
I thought a few of them struggled in the first half. You know, I think that's okay to say that. I thought Cash struggled against Mendy and Barcola in the first half because he's got both to deal with. Like that's difficult. Rodgers is playing on the right, but he's not playing as a right winger. It's 2-on-1 a lot of the times for Cash, and I thought he found some of it difficult. I thought Torres was a little bit defensively shaky at times, but again in the second half was one of our best players because of what he offers on the ball, and everyone knows what he does. Cash was again much better in the second half as well. So I don't think anyone played a 10 out of 10 throughout the whole game. I think some of them struggled in places, but ultimately a lot of them were 8.5, 9s, and that was enough to win the game in the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think the true test for me was you go 2-0 down, you can wilt or you can stand up.
Yeah.
And everybody stood up.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Character cannot be questioned.
So I think that was enough to me, because you have to be brave. You have to be super brave, because, you know, Villa could have had a hiding tonight if they hadn't have found that kind of second gear after those setbacks. So no, I just thought it was a special performance.
Yeah. Let's talk about added time quickly. And I want to do this now because I got a voice note from John Townley at 22:20, which isn't that long after all the presses will be done and stuff. And usually I'll hear from John, but I might wake up the day after a game and have a message that's like 2 a.m. or something silly. But to message me quickly, I thought, oh, this must be something different from John. So I'm going to play it. I've asked his permission to play it. This is what John sent me not long after the final whistle. If I can get this to work. Bear with me, everybody, while I just work out my phone. I'm an 80-year-old that's never used a mobile phone before.
Right, mate, this is exactly what I was saying the other day, or the week when we was doing this podcast. And someone said, what's the one thing you want to change about football? The added time. How? 6 substitutions, 5 goals. Someone shut my name. No. 6 substitutions, 5 goals, 4 minutes added time combined. It simply doesn't make sense. Like, genuine. Please bring that. I mean, you're going to bring it up anyway, but you can mention that it was my pet peeve, and now it's been realised on the grandest stage of them all.
The grandest stage of them all. I mean, yeah, John is absolutely bang on. I'll wait for Matt to rejoin again in a second. His connection's awful. We sorted out his connection ages ago, and then he messed around with his Wi-Fi. So, Matt, if you can hear me, please leave and come back again. The added time situation is frankly ridiculous. I just don't understand what has happened for that to transpire. I think it's 1 minute in the first half, which is bizarre in itself. But you don't get too much added time at half time. I can get that. It's usually 2 or 3 at most, yeah, generally. But for 3 minutes? Yeah, 3 minutes in the second half for added time when there's been 3 goals, 3 or 4 substitution breaks, loads of time wasting. That should have been 6 or 7 at least. I think if it was, there's a chance of Villa go on and get the goal that they're looking for. You telling me if it's the other way around and PSG are desperate for the goal that we're seeing 3 minutes of added time? I just don't believe it. And that compounded everything that was poor about the officiating tonight.
Yeah, I couldn't work out why it was only 3 minutes, because you effectively, if there's 6 substitutes, you're effectively allowing 30 seconds for each substitute anyway. So there's
time for a goal, isn't it?
There's your 3 minutes. And yeah, I thought the ref. I mean, listen, I'm not sure. I think it's probably our own finishing and their goalkeeping that has denied us ultimately. But I thought the ref was pretty poor. I mean, that time where he's fallen over, and then, you know, for some reason he was trying to give a drop. We were in possession.
Yeah,
he was trying to give a drop ball rather than handing the ball directly back to us. I thought it was poor. I mean, did you see Damien having a go at one of the officials in down the tunnel?
Oh no. I saw one of the other coaches speaking to the ref at the end and got a yellow card, which is fair play to him, mate. Have a go, get a booking. It wasn't mean, doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, so Damien had a go. I just thought that I don't know. Listen, we're gonna feel sore about it, and we're gonna be biased about it. But there were times where I thought we won the ball cleanly and were penalised at a time where we really needed that bit of momentum.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that the rules were applied.
Yeah.
Equally to be honest.
We've seen some good referees in Europe this season, but that was by far the worst one at the most crucial time.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, it's about momentum, isn't it? Football's about momentum. And if you're being pulled back for silly little things, and if you're not getting, you know, imagine that if that board had gone up and it would have been 6 minutes, which I don't think would have been unreasonable.
No.
You know, we even with the 3, we still nearly scored, and Matson's had that one that's been blocked on the line. So it's probably a little bit of sour grapes, to be honest, but it did leave a bad taste in the mouth because I felt hard done by because of it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do man of the match. Let's try and do it. It's everybody's favourite section. It's time for the Man of the Match award, and we're going to pick our top 3 in order. And if there wasn't 3 good players, it's a bit of tough, isn't it? I think there's comfortably 2 here, and neither of them finished the game. We've already spoken about one a little bit, but McGinn is my number 1 man of the match. And by the way, as Knights says in the comments, I can't believe Dembele won the official man of the match. That's outrageous, by the way. What's he done? Nothing.
Who awards that?
I had no idea. Referee?
Is that just a sponsor who wants to meet him?
Possibly. That's frankly ridiculous. If it was like there was a PSG man of the match and a Villa one, yeah, whatever. But for the game's man of the match to be Dembele is mental. McGinn 100%, and I feel, I don't know, vindicated is not the right word, but I thought McGinn played really well in the first leg, but I was almost a little bit too afraid to say it or go too big on it because all the comments, or a few of the comments were like, "Oh, we've outgrown McGinn, he's not good enough at this level," and I thought, "Oh, he's actually played all right," but in the first leg. We spoke about it a bit on the Q&A that big games, you need someone like him, his character and all that kind of stuff. Everyone knows what he offers by now. He's been here a long, long time. But I thought he was brilliant in his hour or however long he played. I thought he was unbelievably good. One of his better games for us. His goal, fantastic. I've not seen it back, whether it was deflected or anything, I don't know. But just to pick it up and drive forward, nobody's thinking, oh, he's going to score here. But that absolutely changes the game. Of course it does. But he plays so well up until that point. Even if he hadn't scored, I'd still be raving about him for a man of the match shout as well. Just drives us, and everything, or most of the things that are good about Villa come from his energy, his character, real leadership. So I thought he was excellent. I thought Rashford as well. It was probably his best game for us so far as well. There's a lot of talk on TalkSport on the way back on the radio about whether that was the right decision to bring him off, whether it was the right decision to bring Ollie Watkins on. I'll ask you about that in a second. But McGinn for the man of the match, I'm sure you agree. He was the standout, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's really, I didn't think he should have come off, McGinn. I understand why Emery did it, and although I think you described it as a kind of, a period of chaos, I think, when we scored the 2 goals. I know the chaos didn't last, if you like, but we still created chances. Asensio's come on and had the chance. But I do think McGinn, I don't know, I just think he just sets the tone, doesn't he? And not to say that the others don't and the others weren't working hard and stuff, but he'll just do one thing. He'll just lean in, or he'll just, put his body into a challenge that he has no right to win and all that kind of thing. And it just gives you that momentum and that oomph, and gives you the crowd that drive again. So I think absolutely he was the man of the match. And like I said before, that goal that came out of nowhere, I think he got a slight nick, but
I've just seen it back.
Still a beautiful goal. Yeah. That goal that came out of nowhere was the moment, was the catalyst for our recovery, or our near recovery. I think I thought Rashford was a little bit frustrating first half. He still gets 10 out of 10 because that's how generous I am. But, when he comes alive, I mean, what he's done, I don't think there's another player in the Premier League who does what he's done for that Konza goal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen it back, but I haven't slowed it down. It looks like he's a classic Rashford nutmeg to go past the first man.
I don't think it quite was a nutmeg, but yeah.
It's that kind of, that kind of...
The little drag, yeah.
And then when he's got to the byline and picked the ball back for Ezri Konsa, that's just class. that's just class. I don't think there's many players who do that. Fine finish by Konza as well.
Yeah.
Rashford when he gets going, he's cut inside as well, hasn't he? And he's forced that save as well. So I think those two definitely. I mean, I don't know whether people agree with this, because I think Torres was at fault for the first goal. I think if there's a shout there, or he gets out of Martinez's way, I think that Martinez collects that ball quite easily. But
that's the only one I've not seen back. Is that Torres' fault or Martinez?
I think it's a bit of both. I just think it's bad communication. But if Torres trusts Martinez enough there, as he should do, from knowing what he's capable of, then I think he gathers that comfortably. But I thought Torres grew in stature as well. I thought there was times where he was a little bit shaky, but then there were times where actually we're chasing the game here. I'm going to be braver. I'm going to advance the ball. I'm going to take chances in some areas, and I thought he was good. But like I said, I think we could go through most of the team. So I think if we agree McGinn, star man, and then get on with our lives.
Yeah, agreed. I'd have McGinn first, Rashford second, and then third could be pretty much anybody else. To be honest, I think it's that even across the rest of them.
Dembele on it third.
Absolute madness. What's more crazy, Dembele man of the match, or playing the Europa Conference League music for the intro for the biggest game of the century, for a decade, for generation? Bloody hell, it's late. Somebody says he did nutmeg him, but in the highlights I've just seen, it doesn't look like a nutmeg. But admittedly, it's 20 past midnight, and I haven't got my specs on, so maybe he did. Somebody else said that Rashford gave the ball away for the first as well, but there was enough, I think, still to stop the goal from happening off the back of that, So the outro needs to be the Europa League music. I wish I could cue it up quick enough and I had the copyright for it for ultimate S-housery, but I don't. Talk about Rashford coming off. I was touching on it a little bit with McGinn as well. I'm not sure either of those should have. I get McGinn, he's on a yellow. I thought Rashford is so dangerous in the second half. Everything I said before about lots of good things that happened came through McGinn. Lots of good things definitely came through Rashford in some aspect, either him getting the shot away or being involved in the build-up or whatever. Ollie Watkins looked miffed, let's say, warming up right in front of us. The guy who goes to get the subs, I don't know his name, apologies, but it's always the same fellow, the coaching staff. When he went out to go and get the next ones to come on, he went past Watkins every time, and you could see there was one point he kind of had arms out of like, when's my turn kind of thing, and he looked annoyed not to get on. And we've heard bits about him being disappointed not to start games and whatever else. I thought Watkins would have started, and maybe Rashford off the left is what maybe I would have gone for if I was picking a team. But I do think at some point Watkins scores goals, Villa need a goal, him coming onto the pitch is fine. In hindsight, I didn't think he played very well and wasn't really involved in anything. And it's not that him coming on was the problem. It was Rashford going off that was the problem. It should have been Rodgers, maybe. Rashford on out wide and Watkins up front. I just felt Rashford was so dangerous and clearly was putting the jitters up the PSG defence that it felt a bit of shooting ourselves in the foot to take him off, and McGinn at similar times.
Yeah, and I think again, like harking back to the chaos, I think that our chance of I know we won the game, but our chance of winning the tie was prolonging that chaos as much as possible, just because you could just see they're so calm, aren't they, on the ball, PSG? That everybody, they don't really waste the ball very often, do they? You think about the way that they've stuck both of their goals away. How many times do we get in wide areas like that and the ball's not quite right and all that kind of stuff? But it was that thing where you were almost kind of playing them at a different game then for 15, 20 minutes. And you're like, well, we can't even get our breath to get our foot on the ball, let alone start to dictate and start to control this game again. So I do think that Rashford and McGinn were crucial to that. Now, I think Emery probably thought, well, it doesn't have to be chaos. We can still football our way to get the goals that we need. And it nearly proved that way, didn't it? So you can't say that his two changes or his several changes completely took the wind out of our sails. I think they stopped us bringing that chaos to PSG's door.
Yeah.
But we still created, we still had chances to go and win that football match. So
really good chances as well, by the way. We've not really touched on what came after the goals, but Concer's they were talking about it a lot on the radio, and I didn't quite remember it because they kept talking about it as a header, as if like he'd had a header, but I think it was the one that he missed. He doesn't get anything on it. I think
you watched it back?
I've not seen it back now. I think I saw somebody describe it in the chat as we were a concert hair away from scoring, so it was obviously very close. I think Rodgers was behind him as well, probably wasn't expecting it to come into him, so it's like, how's nobody got on the end of that? There's the Rashford put a ball in, and Tielemans, I think, kind of bumbled around. He gets just has a free header in the 6-yard box, saved by Donnarumma. There was the Asensio chance. Pau Torres, a lovely through ball straight through, perfect touch from Asensio, and keeper saves with his feet. I mean, him running off and wheeling away in front of the PSG fans, like I could see it happening. Just denied that opportunity. And then Maatsen at the end as well, blocked, not quite off the line, but it's on target at least, and that's one of the last kicks of the game. And it's not that. I mean, we spoke a little bit recently about smash and grab. It wasn't that Villa had 3 chances, scored 3 goals, won the game on the night, but generally we're under the cosh. We've created like 5 or 6 really high quality chances that on another day against a different goalkeeper, Villa do score 5 and they get through. And it's just, a little step too far, sadly.
Yeah, but this is what I mean about Emery. I know that I think he's earned so much trust from us, and I don't think he's beyond criticism. But I don't think the subs. I don't think it cost us the chance.
I don't think that.
I think we still created loads. I mean, listen, I think I'm right in saying. I think I heard a stat saying that we're the only team to have put 3 past PSG this season. And that could have been 7.
Yeah.
It could have been 7. So I can't bring myself to feel disappointed because just pride's winning.
Yeah,
pride and excitement.
I mean, we're still unbeaten in the Champions League at home. We didn't lose a match in 90 minutes. Obviously, we lost the title. We won the game tonight. We didn't lose at home.
Champions League tonight, because I'm sure there's different music. Was it Champions League?
We've lost 2 games at home all season. Crystal Palace in the League Cup when we'd made changes, and Arsenal in August when we deserved to win the game. We played well that game and should have probably at least got a point out of it. So our home record is the difference in a lot of instances for Villa doing good things and maybe getting into the Champions League, getting as far as they have potentially in the Champions League this year, an FA Cup run that has featured some home matches as well. Like, for Emery to have this unbeaten streak of, I don't know how many games it is now, more than 15, is it? He's done that twice, is remarkable, really. And, a lot of people get fed up of look where we were 5 years ago playing Bristol City or whatever. But the journey that we've had, and the fact that somebody like McGinn was scoring in those days, scoring in the playoff final, and scores against PSG 6 years later or whatever, is stupid, frankly. But we have been on such a journey that we're now in these unbeaten runs and winning in Champions League games and only losing 1 game all season at home. Like, this is not what we were used to in 2015, 2012. These crap decade that we had, really. And it's just something different to get used to and something to be proud of, and something that will put us in good stead going forward as well. Having a good home record is massively important, and we undeniably have that.
It's funny you mentioning Bristol City. It's just reminding me. Remember when we had in the Championship in the earlier years, but Villa had like a spat with Lee Johnson, the manager, and he was I don't know, he was moaning that our fans chanted too loud and we didn't give him a chance or whatever it was. But just me thinking that, and then just have you seen the quotes from Luis Enrique post-match?
I've seen nothing, no.
So there's this quote here: "I don't think my team has been so dominated by another team in that way. This opponent has to take risks because they were going out of the competition. They're attacked with great intensity, and we were playing in front of a great crowd too." So you can leave Lee Johnson in the Championship. This is where we are now. This is where, one of the elite coaches, we got one of our own, but one of the elite coaches who's got a good chance of taking his team to go and win the trophy now, is full of respect for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different level, isn't it? Robert says there. My dad, for a few years, used to say he went to go and see Villa 0. Because, didn't score. I love that. yeah, just to kind of wrap up for me anyway, you might come back in a second and say, oh, actually, what about this? And that's absolutely fine. But we said earlier about, actually, I don't know who we did, it might have been somebody else, but almost like being, to me anyway, at least, if this was another club doing what Villa had done tonight, I know we've not won, we got to the semi-final, but we should, to level-headed, normal football fans of Newcastle, Forest, Fulham, Everton, whoever, teams that maybe aren't used to this as much as a United are, or a Chelsea or Arsenal, whatever, those different clubs that to them they take these kind of nights for granted. If I was a Villa fan watching those other clubs do what Villa have done under Emery, culminating in what we saw tonight, you have to kind of just sit back and say, fair play, Villa. And I know not everybody likes Villa. Of course they don't. Lots of clubs hate us. But I would be looking at those other clubs and going, fair play, X. You've done really well there. Like, I thought after the first day, you got no chance in the second. But your home atmosphere is brilliant. Your manager is brilliant. Your squad depth and some of the players you have in your starting 11 are genuinely, I don't want to go as far as say world class, because that's probably an overstatement, but really top level for fighting up in the upper echelons of the Premier League and going this far in the Champions League. You've got to be envious of that and kind of like, fair play for doing well, because that's how I would feel about another club. Like, we're not just doing what we've said before, like insignificant things. You win 10 games a season in the league and finish mid-table and you're kind of irrelevant and no one cares about you. That's worse almost. I'd rather be hated by some for being successful than being irrelevant and no one is concerned about little old Aston Villa being perpetually in mid-table. So it kind of just shows the level that we've come to, and I think that's all I keep coming back to, and that's probably where that pride comes from. Of, we're not here to mess around and make up the numbers and compete in a league stage of the Champions League and then go out and not be in it again for 10 years. We want to go as far as we can, and you bet we want to be in it next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about the neutrals, to be honest, but if you're watching that tonight, you watch football, used to be the case anyway, you watch football for entertainment, and you must have loved that. You must have thought, at halftime, must have thought, or after 25 minutes, you must have thought, it's going to be a bit of a procession. But if you stuck with it, you must have thought, blimey, that's I've enjoyed that. That's been a contest tonight. And I think Aston Villa do that. I know we're massively biased, but not that many boring games that involve Aston Villa now. I don't want to jinx it, and we draw 0-0 on Saturday afternoon. Well, that probably won't be the worst result in the world, to be honest. But we play football the right way. We're entertaining, and we don't just pass the ball to death. We pass the ball to try and create chances and to score goals. We've got exciting players who can run with the ball. We've got exciting players who can, with the vision of Tielemans and Torres, the pace of Rashford and directness of Morgan Rogers. We've got players all across the pitch that we're not just doing it by boring the life out of opposition. We get in, forcing our way amongst the elite and doing it in a real swashbuckling, exciting way. So
there it is.
Yeah, honestly, Dan, I don't know whether people probably think I've over-egged it a little bit tonight. I mean, me and myself kind of I over-egg it anyway just by looking like one. But I can't escape the fact that it was just pride, just real pride. I got a couple of shout-outs.
I've got one as well.
Do yours first, then.
Okay, mine comes from a comment as well from Daniel Kiernan, who I assume is one of the lads that I saw. He said earlier in the chat, the Erdington boys man of the match for me, Dan. And I've starred that so I can come back to it. Now, I was on the way to the game walking down with my dad. And
the Erdington boy Gabby?
The group of lads, 4 or 5 of them, and they saw me walking down the road and they said something, they were shouting something like, you're for the podcast, and we're up the Claret and Blue or something like that. And I was like, walking past, cheers, lads, all right. Cheers for watching or whatever. And I was like, carry on walking down. They're going, he's one of them. And I was a little bit like, they said, don't get embarrassed now. And I was a bit like, ooh. But obviously it's nice. But for anyone else, I mean, the hundreds of other Villa fans in the road probably going, who's that? Whatever. A little bit weird, but also quite enjoyable. And I said, one of them said something like, can we get a shout out? And one of them said something like, no, don't bring this up. And I said, the Erdington boys. So yeah, fair play, lads. Thanks for the thanks for the shout out, a literal shout out in the street. So there's your mention on the podcast. Cheers, lads.
All right, there you go. Well, I got collared by a steward on the way in. Oh, it was a windy old queue tonight.
Oh, it's big in there.
Started near the McGregor statue. I'd like to see my heat map tonight, to be honest, because it took me a bit of bobbing and weaving to get into Villa Park. But the steward, I said, "Oh, what's your name? What's your name?" He said, "Oh, I can't tell you." So there you go. We'll just call him Stuart. We'll call him Stuart the steward. So he was a nice, friendly guy. And I was there's a couple of fellas who wanted a selfie with me at the end.
Oh wow, wow.
So yeah, Peter and Jamie. So a big shout out to them.
Nice.
And there's a fella on Twitter tonight. Because I posted a picture of me and my son saying how much I've enjoyed the Champions League journey. My son looks about 5 feet taller than me. And you've seen the photo, but he's somebody said you need to stand on your tiptoes and wear a wig, and then you'd be like twins. So maybe I'll do that next time. But a bloke called Paul and his son Oliver, who go in the Lower Holt. They're from sunny Sutton Coldfield, so I said I'd give them a shout out as well. But yeah, I want to give a shout out to 40,000 or more Villa fans inside Villa Park.
Yeah,
and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, millions around the world, because it's been what a time to be alive.
Yeah, what a time indeed. I mean, me and John might do another kind of Champions League roundup today. It's now Wednesday, so maybe later today we'll catch up and do like the best game, which might be this one. The highlight of the journey might be tonight, and just talk through the journey that we've had, because I'm sure John wants to talk about the Champions League as well. Then it's full focus on Newcastle. We'll do a preview and a post-match for that, where we want to get back into the Champions League again, and that's a huge game. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about the bouncing back from playing a European match. No troubles last week with the first leg, but it was Southampton. How do you follow tonight? You want to go and beat Newcastle. You want to go and make a point that, yeah, we might be tired or whatever. We've had the adrenaline. We've played well. Go and beat Newcastle, because we want to be up there again and we want to overtake you. So massive carrot for Villa now. And they've just got to go and
have you thought about doing a podcast with some of the rivals for the top five? That
sounds like a good idea. Here's one I made earlier. Wish I'd hold in the thumbnail then. That'd be good. Can I edit that in? No, we're live. I caught up with Andrew Musgrove, who's a Newcastle podcaster. I won't do all the surnames because I don't know him. Dave, who's a Man City podcaster. Tom, who's a Chelsea fan. And Matt, who's a Forest fan. And I did like a 10-minute interview with all of them, asked all of them the same questions. How's your form, your injuries, the running that you've got? Who's going to make your top five? Are you nervous? Are you confident, etc.? And I've cut that together as one big bumper episode. I think there's a few references to like Villa are still in the Champions League because we filmed it a couple of days ago after the weekend's fixtures. But, you know, whatever. That's coming out Thursday, I think. So keep an eye out for that, because if you feel a little bit apprehensive about Villa's running, because Forest are really good, aren't they? Well, when you hear it from a Forest perspective, maybe you'll think, actually, we can probably catch them. So doing it and putting it together made me, as I said at the start of this, like I now feel like Villa will finish in the top five. One, because Villa are quite good, and two, our rivals are a bit scared of us, which is a bloody good position to be in. So keep your eye on the channel for that one. Great setting up, Matt. Thank you very much. There's 800 people watching live. It's 25-1 now on Wednesday morning. There's 100 likes. We don't normally ask for likes, but if you've enjoyed the content, not just tonight, but on everything that we've done over the last few weeks, then you can leave a like, which helps the YouTube algorithms and whatnot. If you're not a subscriber, you can also subscribe. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you anything. Benefits that you get are that when we upload something new, you get a notification on your phone or your emails or your iPad or whatever, just to say, Claret and Blue have uploaded, and you don't miss anything. When you go onto YouTube, you've got all your homepage, and our episodes will be featured in there as well. So never miss anything by subscribing. We're ever edging towards 20,000. We're about 100 away. So if you've enjoyed the show and you're not subscribed, please do consider it. We don't normally ask for these kind of things, but kind of feels like a big momentous occasion. I'm sure there'll be lots of people watching this episode into Wednesday and the rest of the week. So thanks for all your support as well. I because like 800 people at this time of night, you could easily have gone to bed early and caught up with this tomorrow. But you're here live, getting involved in the live chat and stuff, and it's really appreciated, isn't it, Matthew?
It is very much appreciated, Daniel, but I am going to go to sleep now because I'm tired and I need
I'm
my
buzzing still, you know. I don't think I'll sleep for a while yet. Should we carry on for a bit longer?
You can.
No, I'm not going to carry on. Right, that'll do us. 50 minutes. Matt, thank you very much. I know you've not been feeling very well, so thanks for coming on. We'll see you again.
Can I sing you out?
Let me do my intro first, and I'll tee you up to sing. All right, is that fair?
Okay. Yeah.
I'll see you again for the Newcastle post-match on Saturday evening, much earlier than this one, but probably only by a few hours. Thanks, everyone, for watching along live. If you're watching on catch-up, you can scroll down into the YouTube comments and share your thoughts on anything that we've discussed tonight. Same with Spotify. And if you can leave us some likes, subscribe, reviews, all those nice things, trust me, they really do help and go a long way to helping us grow the podcast. I will end this one by opening the floor to Mr. Matthew Kendrick on karaoke to end with a little sing-song. Take it away, Matthew. Oh, that's not what I was expecting. I thought you were going to do something different.
Up the Villa.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.